Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler with Impakt Results. Today, we've got a little bit of a different episode for you, something that I think you guys will enjoy. I get a lot of questions on Instagram, just business growth questions, strategies, marketing questions. And I got several really good questions from the guest that we're going to hear from today, Nick Lubiarz from MHR Racing Development. You might have seen his product featured in some of Alex Ray or AJ Catanzaro's vlogs because he does a lot of work with the SMGB Racing team. And Nick has a really cool product, a really cool business, something that is innovative, something that is a cut above his competitors. But he's got the same problems that so many other big and small businesses seem to have from time to time. So he came on, he tells us a little bit about what he's done to get his product and business to the position that it's at today. And then we take a deep dive into different strategies that he can utilize to increase his recurring revenue, leverage influencers for his marketing, different things that I think would be applicable to several of your businesses for those listening. So I hope you enjoy today's episode. If you have questions that you'd like to get answered, or if you want to come on and do a similar episode and you think that your situation would be valuable to others, if we were able to bring some value to you that it can help a lot of other listeners, I'd love to hear from you. Love to get you on the show. You can send me an email at questions@motomarketingpodcast.com, or you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Luke Nesler. It's LukeNesler. And you should follow me there because we're showing some really cool things that we're doing behind the scenes. We're investing a lot of time, a lot of money into this show. I'm actually sitting in the brand new Moto Marketing Podcast studio right now. This show is about to go visual as well as audio. So we're going to have a video version of the show that's going live. Wait until you see the studio, or if you're already following me on Instagram, you've already seen the studio. So shout out to RacerX. For number one, having us on the podcast channel, having us on the YouTube channel, and they played a big role in furnishing and decorating the new podcast studio that will be utilized once we go live with video. So, hope you guys enjoy today's episode. Without further ado, let's get into it with Nick Lubiarz from MHR Racing Development.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
All right, everybody, welcome back. As promised, we've got a good guest for you today. We have Nick Lubiarz from MHR Racing on the show today. Nick, welcome to the podcast, man. I appreciate you being here with us.
Yeah, thanks, dude. It's a pleasure. I'm really excited to do this.
So Nick and I met just because he was an early listener to one of the first episodes and reached out to me on Instagram and told me a little bit about his company, and we'd hopped on a call, and I thought, man, you know what? I think Nick would be a good guest because you've created something from nothing and you've had success with it. You want to have more success with it, so I think today's show's a good episode to really kind of tell our audience, hey, what have you done to grow a name for yourself, get the attention of the marketplace in this space, in the moto space, and where do you feel like you need to improve? So that's kind of where we're going to take this show. But before we do, Nick, tell us, for those that might not be super familiar with your brand, what is MHR Racing? Give us a little overview of your company.
Yeah, so I'm not a big company by any means. I literally work from home. I'm a single employee. I got a buddy who comes and helps me once in a while, but other than that, everything done here is done by me. And I pretty much started it as kind of like a hobby. Just like a lot of guys. I grew up racing and riding, and we had a blast with it. It was some good bonding time for me and my dad, and it was a lot of fun. And, after high school, reality kind of kicks you in the face a little bit, and, parents stopped paying for stuff. So, I couldn't afford racing on my own, and I knew I, wanted to be in the industry, and I knew I wasn't going to be professional and, make $1 million a year, racing a motorcycle. And, I loved every minute of it, and wanted to try to stick within, what I knew, just because I'd done it for so long. So I pretty much just started out working on my own stuff and, this and that. And then out of high school, I became a welder, and I'm a welder by trade. I've been welding for probably the last 13 years now. And just working on my own stuff and seeing problems that, maybe me or fellow friends who wrench, any fab guys or, stuff like that, just seeing problems that people had and trying to just innovate and try to create something from, maybe a concept that was, previously, cracked before, or, just to maybe try to better something. So that's kind of where I made the engine stand. And the concept was around previous, to me. And I just wanted to put my own kick and touch to it. And I just pretty much built one for myself, and posted a picture of it on Instagram, and, they weren't really for sale or anything. I didn't know if, people would be interested in them. And then all of a sudden, like a year or so later, I just started pretty much getting orders and calls, and, a lot of interest surrounding them. And
just from that Instagram post, that's what initially started to get the attention on it? Was it just that Instagram post, or was there something else that happened there too?
Business is on Instagram.
Yeah. Are you doing some stuff with the SGB Racing team this year? Did I see? I thought I saw. It's interesting. Both of the riders on that team, AJ and then A-Ray, they both have their own vlog, and it was one of them. And this was right after you and I had talked. One of them, I don't remember who it was. You might know exactly what I'm talking about. One of them just did a quick, shot of your product. And gave your company a shout out. I was like, hey, that's Nick. What do you know what I'm talking about? Did that drive any type of attention for you, or what's, and kind of how did that relationship get started? I know that's a 2-part question. So let's start with this. How the hell did you get in with that team? Where did that come from?
So I had, kind of been following Jason a little bit back and forth, just through social media and Instagram and stuff. And he had struck some interest in the engine stand, and, it is fairly a pricey product. And when he, originally reached out to me, it wasn't really in the budget for his, his shop. He was in the middle of moving and stuff like that. And, I just kind of went back and forth throughout a year or so. And then 2020 Supercross was coming up, and Jason actually reached out to me and offered a pretty cool opportunity I really couldn't pass up to, be able to help the team and AJ and the shop and, everybody over there. So I was totally down and, wanted to hop aboard. So we got in with them, and Jason got a couple stands, one of which he used at we actually made it on Swap Moto. It's pretty cool. The last editor's blog that he did on Life on Two Wheels, he goes to Jason's pit setup, and it was when Alex grenaded his motor. He punched a hole through the bottom of the case. Well, they're doing a motor swap in between motos, and they were using the stand, in the pit. So I thought that was pretty cool, actually seeing the product get used and, put to use. So
what did you see anything from just from that little cameo of your product? I mean, was there more followers on social? Was there products sold? Did you see anything from that?
Yeah, so I don't have like analytics like that just yet. I would say I probably maybe got a couple followers or something from that possibly. But as far as sales go, I mean, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not a tool for, Johnny Appleseed who just gets a motorcycle and decides he wants to, work on his own machine. So, given the,
I think to kind of dive in on that one little scenario to where Swap had put you in his editor's vlog, and how you could repurpose that and use that, and then what expectation should you even have for some type of a quote-unquote influencer. When I asked that question, if have you had any sales from it, I would have actually been surprised if the answer would have been yes. And I say that so that people who are interested in marketing but don't necessarily understand or have the right expectations for it, you're probably not going to see a uptick in sales at all, or definitely massively from one mention. But it's something to where how can you put yourself in that same position over and over and over again, to where, you know, another team that their rider has content that he creates is JGR. Now, I know JGR is a little different. They probably have what they need because they can make it themselves. But looking for those opportunities to where, hey, are there any mechanics that have videos that they put out? Who else is creating videos that I could maybe set their team up with it if they can somehow feature it, so that you can replicate that over and over again? What I would do is I would reach out to Swap, and I'd say, hey, can I use that clip as a quick testimonial on our site? And we'll put your logo at the bottom of it so they know it was shot by you. That way, that clip lives on, even if it's 5 years old. You've got that shot of Jason or A-Ray, whatever it is. So that's a way to tap into some type of influencer marketing, and it doesn't cost you anything. Or he might say, yeah, it's, you know, whatever. He might charge you a fee. I have no idea, but just an idea for you.
No, that's really cool, man. I wouldn't even have, you know, thought of that. It's little stuff like that where I guess I'm trying to grow here, and you know, it's the little stuff, and you know, trying to network with different, you know, people and stuff like that. I feel like sometimes my biggest problem is, you know, I'm capable of providing the quality work that the big teams and stuff are looking for, but getting the right contact and in touch with the right person to be able to make a decision like that is often tough. And I think that's where I struggle. And
I think the right contacts for you, just kind of building on who to maybe get your product in the hands of. Look at who's doing bike builds. You got Jeff Walker. You've got you've got Cole Seeley. You've got I don't know how in depth Chris Kiefer is going to go as far as in his bike builds. You know, is he going to have a need for a motor stand? But maybe, you know, you reach out to the guys at Racer X and you inquire about, you know, advertising, and rather than it just being in the magazine or on the site, being part of the content that maybe Kiefer is going to create, where that is the kind of stuff for a product like yours that I'm going to have zero need for. You know, John, who's going to go ride on the weekend, is probably not going to have a need for. You've got to get it in front of a really specific audience. What content are they watching? And it might be more of the bike build type content. So looking at giving your expensive product to them to use either permanently for an extended period of time in exchange for actually giving them money. If you don't have that ad budget there, maybe it's, hey, look, this is a premium product. Use this thing for 6 months.
Right.
A good example. So Specialized Bicycles is working with me and my I have an EMTB race team. So their ad budget for me is not significant amounts of funds. It's, hey, here is a certain amount of bicycles that are several $1,000s a piece. Use them, create content. Works out for me, works out for them. I think you can do a similar model to that, if it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I was going to say, touching kind of back to, you know, kind of working with the right people. Honestly, man, I pretty much have like one dude to really shout out, just to give a massive thank you, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have sold as many stands as I have today. And it's Jim Haysicker. He's out of California. He's a fellow engine builder, and he does a lot of high end, you know, very quality, good stuff. And he didn't have much of a big following when I first reached out to him, but that was kind of around when I first started making the stands. And, you know, I wanted someone to just try one because it worked for me here, but, you know, to send it to someone else and get positive feedback like, hey, dude, yeah, this thing works, versus no, you know, you got to make some changes here and here. So I actually sent Jim one. He was kind of on the board with it. He didn't know if he would really need it or not. You know, he was an old school wood block, you know, engine guy. And I said, that's totally fine, dude. I'll send you one. Don't send me any money. Don't do nothing. Just, I want you to just try it out. Just, you know, keep it for a couple weeks, give me some feedback, go back and forth. And, if you end up liking it and you want to keep it, yeah, send me, whatever. So, that kind of started with him. And then, I don't know, just progressively, he got bigger and bigger and bigger on social media, and just, like literally half of his page is pretty much, his engine builds on my stands. And they're for a lot of, fast dudes, Aiden Tejero, right. Jared Stenke, he does a lot of good stuff out there with a lot of big name people. And, if it wasn't for him, man, he kind of put me on the map, because everybody was looking at his stuff and liking it and commenting, hey, where'd you get that stand? Where can I get one of those? Where's that from? So it, yeah.
So I think it's trying to, how can you recreate that with, with other people, that are influencers in the space that have a lot of attention. I mean, it's, you definitely, reach out to Steve Mathis, see, hey, is there anything I can do as far as bringing value to the show, or Chris Kiefer and what he's doing? Reach out to, Davey Coombs' team at Racer X, same thing, to where you can replicate that again and again. But here's the biggest issue that brands will make, big or small, is they might get the attention, but once they get the attention, they have no idea what to do with it. So, I might be missing something, but the problem is right now, if I'm your ideal customer, and I'm like, man, this thing is sick. I'm listening to this podcast. I want one. I don't want to necessarily have to go through all these hoops to get it. I want to be able to go to a site. I want to be able to buy it. I want at least, what does it cost? I need to find a place that's easy to tell me that. And from what I can tell, at least on your social media, your Instagram links to your Facebook, I'm not seeing a clear path to a purchase page on like a Shopify site. Is that a missing piece that you have right now? Do you have that in place?
You're totally right. So I'm definitely lacking in a couple aspects. I'm really trying to get a website created and be able to kind of direct customers that way, instead of, like literally I said, 99% of my business is on Instagram. So,
right.
That's where the stands are sold. If someone's messaged me and they're interested in one, the details are, gone through over that for now. But, I've actually been losing a little bit of business because I don't have a website. I had a fellow Michigander who moved, who has a pretty big following, and, he was offering dropship on his site, but, for his customer traffic, he recommended that I get a site put up, with an e-commerce store, and, be able to, direct traffic that way. So, I'm definitely trying to get in the works of making it more appealing for someone to order one. I still am small enough right now that I try to, keep communication with people, I guess. And I don't want to take them away from stuff. So,
yeah. Well, look, we live in 2020. It's easier today than ever to get a site up, and you don't need a custom, just over the top site. Dude, you need a Shopify site. If you're going to do it, it needs to be a Shopify site. There's so many advantages to that. Once you kind of graduate to the next level and you want to start advertising on social or anything, like if you're advertising on Racer X's site, if you're advertising on Google, there's so many benefits to using Shopify. But here's the thing, you don't need to be the one building the Shopify site, because you're going to be paralyzed by having to learn how to do it, trying to get it perfect. You don't need to hire. Does my company build Shopify sites? Sure, that's something that we offer. But your solution, what you need to do is, if you don't have the biggest of budgets, dude, there's this site called Fiverr, and a lot of people have heard of it. Maybe some haven't. It's Fivver, I believe. The concept of it is you can find these freelancers for $5, and it grows from there. But you can find if you literally go there and type in Shopify, you will find somebody either in the States or in a different country. They will build you a Shopify site. It will be good enough, and it won't cost you much money. You get it up and running. You put those links on your social media site, on your sites, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and then it's there. And then you can perfect it from there, but you can't make that site perfect to start with. Get something up, learn what works, what doesn't work, lean on people like me and say, hey, man, you got any critiques for this? And go from there, because you've got that product that, man, I want to buy it, but I don't even know what this thing costs. How can I go buy it? I'm busy. Especially the people that are going to buy your product, they're busy. Some of them aren't going to have time to make that phone call. So what happens is I'm going to go to Google, I'm going to type in motor stand, and I'm going to find one of your competitors that are listed on Dennis Kirk, which is what just happened to me. So you've got a superior product. You just got to make it as easy as possible for that person to go from attention to consummating the deal, and you're really close. It's just a matter of getting that Shopify site, putting the link to that site on your Instagram, and that's at least going to start the traffic going through.
Yeah, that's really good information. I'm really glad I'm get able to talk to you about this. Yeah, I definitely think that needs to be done sooner than later, and I totally agree. Yeah, I don't have a big budget by any means. My wife's in school full time. We have a 1.5-year-old daughter, and I try to do the best I can to keep the bills paid and food on the table. So sometimes it's tough, but then again, this is what I like to do, and it doesn't feel like work really. So, but I think I was going to ask too. So I guess one of my biggest struggles of this is kind of the manufacturing point of things. I don't think I need an investor per se, but my whole goal with this product is I would like to get the cost lower, to be able to market to other audiences, to be able to make this, a Johnny Appleseed product that he can buy and feel like, he's got a factory tool in his garage that the race teams use, and it's the same quality thing. It's literally the same product that, Honda would get, or, Kawasaki, whatever. And my biggest problem right now is trying to source, we'll say material, or I guess really time too has a lot to do with it. I feel like I need help trying to budget my time a little bit and how to make things more efficient, because I find myself stretched so thin and having to do so many things at one time. I have 3 motors to build plus 8 engine stands to build. It's like, I struggle trying to balance that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only way to fix time is to buy more of it. And the only way to buy more time is to come up with some type of a business model that allows you to hire others to do this for you, to do certain aspects of it for you. So what I did when we started to scale Impakt Results was I made a spreadsheet, and I called it my Freedom Punch List, and I literally refer to it this day. And that spreadsheet is just this list of every single thing that was on my plate, and then I color coded it based off of things that I had to do, things that somebody else could do, and things that I should have already offloaded. And then I went through and I numbered those categories based off of things I enjoy, things that I don't mind but I'd rather not do, and things that I hate. And the first things that I got off my plate were the things that I hate that somebody else should do. And then I figured out, how can I bring somebody in that will take that off my plate, but it's got to be a fair trade to where if I offload these, it has to make more time for me to do more profit producing things. So you might want to start with just looking at your business model in general. How can I scale this? What's a recurring revenue model to where, how can I get this motor stand in somebody's hands that is recurring revenue for me? Maybe the model is you lease these to teams, and it's X amount of dollars per month for X amount of months out of the year. You service it when it comes back. You charge a fee for that. You send it back, or something like that. Something that
I didn't even think about that.
It's got to be something like that, and that might not be it. I don't know 100% of. I know the industry, but I don't know what your customer wants in your product. And if it's something that it just gets, it gets beat down, tore down, and certain, components of it need replaced, well, then you send it back, you refurb it, you send them a new one, you refurb that one and send it to somebody else. Something that gives you that recurring revenue, then you can take that and hire somebody to do maybe building the engines, and you train that person. Look, there's a ton of people that want to work in this space that you can put them through some type of an apprenticeship. So maybe you train somebody from the ground up that is really cheap, if not free labor, because they're getting value in exchange. They're learning how to build these engines, whatever, and then that eventually becomes that person that can take that off your. There's a lot of options. You just got to be creative with it. And going back quickly to the site, man, I went to Fiverr. It's fiverr.com. I typed in Shopify. Yeah. Dude, you can get Fiverr. You can hire contractors on Fiverr. You've got your pick. Literally from $95 to $2,000, you've got people that will build you, quote unquote, a Shopify store. So you go through, you find who does the best work. All right, this one's, I will create a pro Shopify store or a website from scratch, $150. You look, you're like, okay, this will work. You can send them a message beforehand and tell them what you need. And then you hire it for $150. You get something up and running, and that generates you some revenue that you might not have had. You might sell 2, motor stands from it. What does your product cost?
So I offer a couple different models. The high-end stainless steel version is $700. Then,
okay.
Laser engraved, all the hardware and bracketry you could need to support, a 250 to a 500, pretty much.
Got it.
Yeah. So, and then I offer a painted steel version too. So that's $650. Same stuff applies. Time warranty, all the hardware and stuff like that's included. So, it all depends, because there's a lot of guys who I'll recommend the stainless version too versus the painted steel. It all depends on, what they're using it for, because a lot of guys who get these, they're doing teardowns on them, and, mechanics like brake clean. So brake clean's pretty corrosive, or, not corrosive, but, if it gets on paint, the paint will run and look like crap. So, I try to not recommend the painted steel versions for, customers who are doing a lot of teardowns and use a lot of solvent cleaners that, could damage the finish. Whereas the stainless version, you can soak it in oil, you can douse it in brake clean, you can do whatever you want and just wipe it clean and nothing ever happens. So, and plus it looks a little bit better too. So, yeah.
Yeah, so really, man, the next step I would say for you is, and here's the thing, your story is so similar to a lot of other small moto business owners that are listening to this, and they've got this cool product, they've got this product that's better than the competitors, but you're just stuck on this one thing that's preventing you from generating some additional revenue that could open the door for you to do additional things. The first thing I would do is go look at that site I was telling you about, find a way to get a Shopify built as cheap as possible, and then get that up and start driving traffic to it. Ask the guys at SGB Racing to give a little shout out on A-Ray's blog or something like that, to start driving that traffic, and try to, $700 is that's a premium product, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much money. It's something that if it's a quality product, man, you can move it. And if you sell 2 or 3 more of those in the next quarter because of that Shopify site, that gives you additional revenue to do some additional things with, and then that just snowballs.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. Like I said, the whole time thing, I feel like is kind of holding me back, because I actually have another new product I'm trying to finish. It's in the prototype phase and testing. I'm trying to work that out and trying to find the time to finish that to release it for sale and have it available is tough. Because I just find myself stuck either still making the stands or doing motor stuff, and just giving some organization, I think would definitely help big time.
Dude, you're not alone. Look, when I started this business with my business partner, it was my business partner and myself doing every website, every video, running every campaign, back in the day, we would post on our client social media for them. Now we just, our specialty is running ads. I did everything and my business partner did everything. So and we didn't grow more than a couple $100,000 a year, because we had no time to focus on working on our business because we were stuck working in it. And now I have multiple people on our social team, our web team. I have a sales team. So now, when I talk to a client, it's because I'm just checking on them, making sure they're doing well. I'm focusing on business growth strategies because I bought time by hiring people to do other things. So yes, it's an initial investment, but you've got to be like, if I stop doing this, do I have more time to generate revenue because I'll be doing this? And if the answer is yes, It might be a risk. It might be what you use your home equity for, a line of credit, or you go get a loan. But if you look at it and you do the math and you're like, man, this task is taking up 10 hours a week of my time, and if I could take those 10 hours and put it toward this, calling teams and telling them about my product, I could probably triple my revenue. Well, then you need to make that decision tomorrow and do it. And then, on top of that, the marketing, you're doing a great job with your Instagram. You're just not giving the people that are interested in it the opportunity to make an easy purchase. And I think if you switch that by doing Shopify, I think that will change things for you.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, man. Pretty much hit on the head there. I mean, that's, that's perfect, man. The help is so appreciated.
Yeah, for sure, man. You've got a cool product, and SGB might be a new team, but I think everybody in the sport is following their journey through AJ and Alex's content. And from what I can tell, SGB does great work. So if they're repping your product, you've got a great product. So I think it's just working out the kinks, and then growing it from there and trying to get more attention and turning that attention into revenue. But you're close, and you're doing a killer job with doing it all on your own right now, dude. It's pretty amazing because I know where you're at. I've been there and I've done that, and as has so many other people listening to this. But
my whole thing too is I want to try to stay organic. I don't need 100,000 followers. I don't need a villa on the beach and a Ferrari. I'm not looking for that. I want a quality image placed behind what I make, and whether it's a factory team having it or John Smith and is working in his garage. I want everybody to have the same product. And I'm a stickler with quality, and I feel like too that's kind of one of my hindrances. I've had a couple people mention to maybe try to get these made elsewhere, for cheaper price.
I don't think you have to, man, because I'll be honest, $700 for who really needs that product, $700 isn't that much money for what it is. And then you do have a couple other options that are a little bit less. Like you can't be Walmart and Gucci at the same time, right? Gucci and Louis Vuitton, they don't run sales, right? Walmart and Target run sales. So let those people be the cheaper version of your product. You've got to maintain that high quality brand image, and you can't do that by saying, hey, I've got a $150 product now. If to generate that additional revenue, you need to think of some type of recurring revenue model that, like the leasing option or something like that. But dude, you're steering the ship in the right direction. It's just a matter of making a few minor tweaks and going from there. Where can people find you on social media? You said Instagram's your big channel.
Yeah, Instagram is mainly what I'm on. I have a Facebook page too, just at Metro Lakes, and my Instagram is at Metro Lakes also. We're out of Metro Detroit, so kind of center of the Midwest a little bit, and just a small guy trying to do what he likes and help everybody out. So.
Well, I'm glad we were able to tell that story on here because I think we've got some. I mean, we just had Little D from FMF. We've got some iconic brands that come on here, but for every one of those, there's 5 or 6 people that have a great product like you do that are small, trying to grow. Your story is super relatable to so many people. So I appreciate you being willing to come on and tell that story and let me talk to you and talk to the audience.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for having me on and the feedback, and that's kind of what this was all about, and which was cool because there's a lot of insight from a lot of different people that goes a long way, and I'm a firm believer, and whether it's constructive criticism or just any type of knowledge, knowledge is big, man, and to be able to talk to somebody like yourself with the experience that you have. Goes a long way, so it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, man, I'm always happy to help, and we will keep in touch. And man, I appreciate you being on here today. And again, if they haven't checked you out, we'll make sure we put your content in the show notes as well. Put your social channels on there, and then soon to be your Shopify site. So, man, I appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. I really appreciate it too. Thanks
For sure.
again.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impakt Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.